where they receive a shower, food, clean clothes, and join the pequeños in school. The good-hearted charity of thousands of generous friends has made Father Wasson's extraordinary journey possible.
It was very difficult during those early years to feed and clothe our children because we had no sponsors, we had no people to aid us or help us.
I feel that even though the children might have lacked some things, they never lacked food. They had enough food. It might have just been beans and rice, but they had enough of it. And they had a bed to sleep in and were warm.
It was difficult to set limits on his heart-driven enterprise. As more children came into the family, the financial pressures increased.
When I began working for the orphanage, there were about 300 children. That doesn't sound like a great number when we consider what the population of our homes are right now, but things were a lot different then. We didn't have the number of fundraisers working with us that we do now. We depended strictly on the funding that came in the mail. And that was a big part of our day, going to pick up the mail, opening the mail, and hoping that we would get a windfall in the mail.
Early, when Father began taking children and establishing the home in the family, he would contact his own father in Phoenix and tell him that he needed some clothes, or he needed some money, or he needed something. And his father would call on his friends.
Among those friends in Phoenix were George and Iris Murphy and Dick and Mary Ziegman. They brought in other friends, and in 1967, Friends of Our Little Brothers was incorporated in Arizona. In 1968, Frank and Polly Kraft of Virginia were introduced to Father Wasson and were impressed with his work and wanted to help.
So we went back home and tried to figure out how could we help and at the same time raise our 9 children, ages 5 to 18, and it had to be something that we were able to do at home. So we decided to try direct mail fundraising.
Armed with no experience and only the advice of a consultant, the first effort was a dismal failure.
There wasn't even a single list that showed any promise. So I thought about it and I said, well, this is a project that has to have appeal and that I wanted to continue. And I put up more money and we went ahead with a second mailing and it was successful.
In 1969, the Crafts and a group of friends incorporated Our Little Brothers and Sisters of Virginia. Both the Arizona and Virginia offices began to develop formal fundraising projects. Meanwhile, other offices were opening in Minnesota, Seattle, Chicago, and Canada.
Over the years at NPH, we developed special projects for our anniversary years. At the 25th, the 30th, the 35th, we did things like national sweepstakes, where we had a wonderful time with sweepstakes prizes and raised a lot of money.
Raising money to support the growing numbers of children was an ever-present challenge. The success of direct mail in Virginia prompted Frank Kraft to test the European market in Austria in 1984.
We saw that the Austrian program was going to be a success. We decided to go into Germany and start an office there.
Stefan Graf, who had been a volunteer in Mexico, helped Father Wasson raise funds in Germany.
And I started learning how to raise funds through direct mail. My teacher in that job was mainly Frank Kraft. He came over to Germany and we went together to different consultants and agencies and worked out a test mailing. We're working now in Europe in 9 different countries with 11 organizations, and 3 of them are in Germany. They're 2 smaller fundraising groups. And all of us, we try to coordinate our efforts, and yet we're all different, of course.
2/3 of our income is provided by our generous friends in Europe. One of the most vital activities is the Godparents program, which started in Acolman in 1973. It became a tremendous financial resource that allowed Father Wasson to help more and more children and to expand his mission to other countries. Godparents are a vital part of the support system for the children.
There are two things, for the godparents. The economic thing, that they pay a quota, and for the children, the emotional part, which for our kids, knowing that someone that outside of NPH cares about them is very important, and it makes a big change in their lives.
The godparents are donors who financially sponsor one or more of the children. They receive photographs, letters, holiday cards, and reports on progress at school from their godchildren. On special occasions, they have an opportunity to visit the children and experience firsthand the love and warmth and sense of family and community that is unique in all the homes.
I think that something that impresses the most the people from outside NPH is to see those hundreds of children running around the house, and to see the chapel full of children, and that NPH is here, that NPH is true, that NPH really changes the lives of those children.
Today, in all of the homes, more than 18,600 godparents are giving their godchildren a chance to succeed and a chance to dream. When Ana Beulah joined the Women's Auxiliary, she began the greeting card project. Today, with the help of Mercedes Fernandez, participating artists produce a beautiful selection of cards in addition to an annual calendar. Annual sales and in-kind contributions now total nearly $75,000, and the profits continue to aid the children in all the homes. To ensure that NPH will have resources available for the continuation of care in the future, the Father Wasson Legacy Endowment, Incorporated, was established in 1999.
I'm lucky enough that about 6 or 7 years ago, when the Father Wasson Legacy Endowment was established, I was picked by Minnesota Friends to represent them on the board, and I have been the president of the endowment for that amount of time since it was formed. And it's been a real pleasure and a privilege for me to help try to build a fund that will provide for perpetual care for the children and for the homes.
One of the most enduring strengths of Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos are the hundreds of volunteers who are treasured members of the family.
The organization is very volunteer-driven. That's why we're able to do so much with so little money. Is all the time and effort that volunteers do for nothing. They do it for what's in their hearts. They love the children, and they're having a giving nature, and they get involved.
Their selflessness, I guess, is one of their best qualities. They're giving up a year of their young lives, mostly before they start their career, because many of them come after they graduate university and want to give a year before they get started. And this selflessness is really something to admire.
My reasons for coming here were such that I wanted to give back. I wanted to work with kids and give back to kids, and I've felt in a paid environment that when I've worked in a paid environment, I wasn't giving back so much as I am when I work for free and stuff here.
I've found that the volunteers on leaving normally make a statement, something to the fact that I got so much more out of this year than I put in. I think that's almost universal with our volunteers. And the changes in many of their lives after